What's going on, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with an unboxing I'm really looking forward to. This is the latest flagship from Samsung. It is the Samsung Galaxy S6. We've got the T-Mobile variant here in 32 gigabytes. It also comes in 64 or 128. This is a completely redesigned phone for Samsung. You can see that stretching all the way to the box. Gone is last gen's relatively large wood finish. We now have a more modern, smaller box with a new Galaxy font. So go ahead and slide this off. Well, Samsung branding right there. We do have a T-Mobile unit, but it will be coming to all major US carriers and probably every carrier that you can think of or that you might be on. We are greeted with the Samsung Galaxy S6 sitting right on top. It's the first time I've actually seen this phone since it was announced at Mobile World Congress, so I'm really excited to pick it up. And first impressions, this feels really nice. Let's get that cold aluminum feel from that all aluminum band around it. Push it off to the side for a real quick sec and see what else we're going to have in the box. We're going to have booklets, lots and lots and lots of booklets in case you want to get started, terms and conditions, and some little features about the device. We've got a micro USB charging port. We don't have any USB 3.0 adapter here, just standard USB. A SIM removal tool. We do have headphones. You go with a built-in inline mic in them and some different size ear gels if you got big or small ears. You've got a wall wart. This does help with a quick charge. Push all that stuff off to the side. That's not why you're here. Let's take a look at the Galaxy S6. From the front, especially in the white color, it looks like every other Samsung until you start to look at it from the back and you realize you've probably seen that before. But this is the first for Samsung. So on the bottom, you've got a 3.5mm headset jack, your charging port and microphone, and now it's a speaker on the bottom as opposed to a rear-facing speaker. On the left-hand side, we've got volume up and down. On the right, it's where your power button is going to live, and it's also where your SIM tray is going to live. Go ahead and power the sucker on as I continue my tour. The front and back are coated with Gorilla Glass 4, so you can throw this thing down and supposedly it will be very safe. Samsung branding, we don't have any T-Mobile branding here, but we do have that Galaxy S6 and that new font emblazoned on the back. A bit of a sheen to it too in the white. It can almost look like there's a pattern moving in it. All right, so we got the phone all booted up. Let me run through the specs. You are looking at a very familiar screen size of 5.1 inches. It's a Quad HD Super AMOLED panel this time around, which means it's got a 2560 by 1440 resolution. And if you can do math quickly, that means it's got a 577 ppi. On the back, living under this very pronounced camera hump, we have a 16 megapixel sensor which has a 0.7 second activation. If you double tap the home button, it'll launch the camera relatively quickly, as you just saw right there. It's got auto time real HDR as well built in. Front-facing camera lives right there. It's a 5 megapixel sensor that has a 120-degree wide-angle lens. This thing is a beast on the power front. It's the first time that Samsung's Exynos processor made it to US phones. It's the Exynos 7 series. It actually has two processors in it to make it octa-core. It's got a quad 2.1 and a quad 1.5 gigahertz. So it's going to be plenty fast and also 64-bit. As I mentioned, storage size is going to be 32, 64, or 128, but what you're not going to find on here is your micro SD card slot. Samsung has done away with that, so make sure you get internal storage size. It's going to work for you. Powering this guy is a 2,550 milliamp hour battery that can be charged wirelessly, really using any of the wireless charging standards available right now. All built in, no need for an extra case or back. Extremely thin device at 6.8 millimeters, and as I mentioned, Gorilla Glass 4 on front and back. I've been a bit tough on Samsung devices in the past for packing a lot of bloatware. This guy is 40% less on the bloatware. You can see that as you move around. And also you can delete any of the Samsung apps that you choose to, which is new for Samsung. It's certainly very nice and something we haven't seen recently. And if you want to add any additional apps, you go ahead and download them from the App Store. Familiar Samsung buttons here. You've got a home button, which we'll talk more about in a second, flanked by a multitasking button and a back button. This home button is also a fingerprint scanner, but you don't have to sort of do a swipe over. You can now just hold your finger over it to unlock. Also coming soon is support for Samsung Pay, which will use either NFC or take advantage of current magnetic strip readers to make this work pretty much everywhere. And that'll be launching relatively soon. Other than that, it looks like typical TouchWiz built in here, albeit much lighter and now much more customizable. There's not much that's carried over design-wise from previous Samsung devices, but one thing we do have is that flash module, which also can double as a heart rate monitor. So if you want to see how anxious or nervous you are, you can go ahead and do that. It's hard to communicate what this phone feels like in video, but I will say this feels unlike anything Samsung has ever done. That includes the Note 4, the Note 4 Edge, and really anything else up to this point. This feels premium, it looks premium, and it's got a very nice weight to it. And for the sake of old versus new, let me bring in the Galaxy S5, which looks now like 6 generations old compared to what we have here with the S6. But you can see these two, at least from the front, don't look that different. Same 5.1 inch screen, but the back and the sides is really where that story looks extremely different. Flip those guys over. Difference here, aside from aesthetics, you've got support for micro SD card slot and removable battery. No removable battery here at all on the Galaxy S6. This was, I believe, IP67, so you could take it in the water. Theoretically, you can splash resistant. This does not have any sort of waterproofing to it, so bear that in mind. Some other noticeable things to know about the new version of TouchWiz. It does have a theming engine support right out of the box, which is a nice addition as well. You can see that right there. You can go ahead and download different themes. If you don't like the way TouchWiz looks out of the box, you can go ahead and customize that without having to install a third-party launcher. So if you're looking to get a new phone in the near future, this might be one that you want to check out. Of course, we'll have a ton more Galaxy S6 coverage and Galaxy S6 Edge coverage at technobuffalo.com. If you want to make sure you catch those videos, hit the big subscribe button down below. Until next time, I'm John Rettner from Techno Buffalo. See you guys next video. Bye-bye.